Hey flappers, how's it going? Welcome back to another rendition, another episode. This is Dear Flappy, an advice show where you send in your questions. Are we ready for advice? Let's hop into the first question, which comes from Quora. This was an interesting question. As a DM, how often do you lie about your dice rolls and why? I thought this was a good starting question. My quick answer to this really is that I rarely do this. I rarely ever lie about dice rolls. I only lie if the dice are being unfair. If I feel like, okay, this has been like 3 crits in a row on a character, I'll be like, okay, I'm just gonna roll the dice again and see what happens. I don't find it good to lie. I put myself in positions where I don't have to lie about anything to my players. If my players are the ones asking this question, I never lie about anything ever. Don't even think about me doing that, because I would never do such a horrible thing to you. I would never lie. Cool, so that brings us to our next question. This one also comes from Quora. Where can I get a concise primer on sailing knowledge sufficient to run a tabletop RPG with prevalent seafaring? And I thought this was a good question that can sort of be extrapolated to all sorts of different knowledges. There is an element of like, we're doing a lot of stuff in this game that we've never done before, which is why we're playing the game in the first place. But I think a DM likes to be prepared, and understandably, there's a certain type of jargon that goes along with seafaring. I just ran a few sessions that took place on a train. You don't really recognize it until your players want to know more about a train, that you really don't know as much about trains as you think you probably should. I straight up just didn't know how a train worked. If I'm trying to think about how a train works, I know that there are wheels that go on a track. I don't know how they stay on the track. I know what a caboose is. I don't know what a front caboose is. You know, the front part of the train, the car that goes on the front. And that was like the first indicator to my players. Oh, so you don't know anything about trains. I had put a conductor on this train who also didn't know much about trains. That's one way to handle it. Another way to handle it is to actually look, and this is what you're asking. You want to know ahead of time how these boats work. And I saw a lot of advice on this question, specifically saying like, hey, take a look at the like US Navy manual for this boat and it'll teach you a whole lot. And it's like, nobody's gonna do that. I mean, like, some people might do that, so I shouldn't say nobody's gonna do that. I certainly wouldn't go into boat manuals. What you should do, experience the movie version of this campaign. Where you draw your inspiration from is the sort of thing that you're going to actually learn stuff for your campaign. In terms of like piracy and pirate ships and shit like that, just watch Pirates of the Caribbean for a little bit. Go through the movie and like watch them be on parts of the ship and be like, oh, what do they call that? Watch that and engage with it and understand what's going on the screen. Another thing to do, things like lots and lots of planes and trains. You guys ever see that commercial? Lots and lots of planes and trains.
Clickety-clack down the track. It's lots and lots of trains. 2 of the greatest train videos we've ever offered.
That was a really common thing when like you were younger and you were watching like, I don't know, Cartoon Network. For ships, maybe watch The Voyage of the Mimi, which is like intended for school audiences, but it teaches you about boats. Do your best to learn what you can, and you don't have to know everything, but knowing a few things can help. That brings us to our next question. It kind of brought up some thoughts for me here. This one's from Quora. What behaviors would make a wizard evil? Okay, nice try, Skeletor. Obviously, like, murder is probably a big one. Kidnapping, but what do all these things have in common? Lots of things are happening in a D&D world where people are killing things and you don't know who's good, who's evil, but sometimes you just want a dude to seem evil. Manipulating and controlling other people, they take the simplest route, whether or not that brings other people down. And in terms of evil wizards, they just do that magically. Evil wizards do bad things and good wizards like this video. So if you like this video, can get to more people. Please just give it a like if you can. We have one last question. This is from YouTube commenter Just Joey. Thank you, Just Joey, for submitting a question. I'm a new player to D&D, my early teens. None of my friends know how to play or are interested in playing. What should I do to try and find a group to play with? And this is like the everlasting struggle of all D&D players. If you're interested in your early life, how do you even begin to find a group? I'm not trying to seek out random strangers. I'm trying to play with the people that I know well. A lot of people want to give the advice like, oh, well, you should just find different people to play with you. Your friends don't have to be the ones to play with you. But in your heart, you want to play this game with your friends and spend time with them. I say you should probably trick people into playing D&D with you. And one way to do that, your friend comes up to you and they're like, hey, Just Joey, how's it going? Oh, I'm doing good. How are you? Oh, hey, if you were standing in the middle of a long dark hallway with only a small candle to light your way, and you hear a low growl and the rattle of chains getting closer in the direction you're facing, what do you think you would do? Like, just sort of in casual conversation. And then suddenly they're like, oh, that was a fun question. We should do this more often. Now you got a D&D game starting. And you just do that with all of your friends. You can try to start a D&D club at your school, but it is tough when your friends don't want to take part in the activity you want to take part in. Thanks so much for watching, and I will catch you next time.